I am Captain Belinda Bennett of Windstar Cruises, who I currently work with, and started with them way back when. And from 2016, I became captain. I'm also the first black female captain in the cruise industry. I had my personal goals in life. I wanted my captain's ticket by 30 and my command by 40, and I achieved both of them. But also, as a young girl, really, because I came to sea when I was 17, as a young girl coming to sea at that time, I was told by a lot of people that being at sea was not for a woman. That to me was like a red flag to a bull, and I was like, no, I'm not having anybody tell me I can't do anything. So I proceeded to prove to them that there is places at sea for women, and not just as a stewardess or a lower ranking role, but at the top. So I started off as a cadet, and it's a 4-year training program, and during that time it's college and sea time, and I got to experience different types of vessel locally. I had a choice between the QE2 and a shell tanker, and me took the shell tanker. I also did a trip in the North Sea, which is way too rough. I don't know, and I can only admire the people that work on the North Sea, because it's some very treacherous weather up there. I qualified in 1998 as an officer of the watch, came up with my second officer's ticket. Then I had to get 18 months sea time before going back to college again for a year for my chief officers and master's writtens. I did that in good old South Shields Maritime College, which I did all my training in. And then after that, I came up with my officer of the watch, and then I had to get another 18 months sea time in before going back for my master's. And then it was a case of getting in experience and getting moved up the ranks. And in 2005, I joined Windstar Cruises as second officer, and then I was promoted to chief officer, and then finally in 2016 I was made captain. I'm on the Wind Spirit, which is out in French Polynesia, and it's mainly a weekly run, so it's a 1-week cruise, but then we also do a 10 and 11-day cruise. When I was on the Windstar, it was slightly different. We used to do 6 months in the Mediterranean, in the Greek Isles, and then the winter time we would be in the Caribbean, and there we also do weekly cruises. I've also done the Costa Rica and Panama run, going through Panama Canal. So there's a lot of itineraries I've done, quite a fair bit of the world that I've covered, seafaring wise. But of course, there's so much more to explore. So. The day as a captain varies. We're up for every arrival, so we're up early in the morning, depending on what time the ship needs to be alongside. I will either do the manoeuvre myself, or for us and for the goals of the captains in our fleet, it's to train the junior officers. So I don't do as much manoeuvring as I used to. And then it could be a case of doing inspections, having meetings with the senior management or the individual teams on board. It could consist of having a drill in the morning. So there's always something to do, walking around, talking to the guests, walking around, talking to the crew. Because for me, as a captain, I like to know my crew. And I like the crew to be comfortable enough to come to me when they have the issues. I absolutely detest the mentality that the captain is up on a pedestal and everybody else is below him. It drives me nuts. I've had a crew member come on board and he's like, I've never had the captain speak to me before. That don't work for me on this ship. I'm constantly on and off the bridge, making sure everything is up there, is working fine, the junior officers are happy, they're comfortable. Walking around and checking to show the crew that I am the captain, but I'm also checking. And also, I'm there to support the heads of departments so that we do our walkarounds together. And to be honest, before you know it, the day is almost over. And then it's time to leave port. So again, back to manoeuvring on the bridge. And then once we're away back in clear water, then it's back to my office, catching up with the day. There's always lots and lots of emails to go through daily. And then once a week, I host a table with the guests. But other than that, I make time that once a week, my heads of department and I, we have dinner in my office, just for that little downtime and bonding time and to catch up on anything that's not really business. So just for us to let our hair down a little. And then, it's bedtime. And then it's start the day over again. So it's just not 2 days alike. So for 3 months, I'm on board ship, taking her wherever she needs to go. And the 3 months at home is time to rest, recuperate, and recharge. It's stressful being a captain. Anybody who says differently obviously have not travelled at sea. There's a lot of factors, and I would say a huge part of our job is HR, dealing with people, and that you can control to a certain extent. The largest stresses comes from weather that we can't control. So it's mostly fighting with Mother Nature that we always lose, where the stresses come in, having to cancel ports if we cannot make it safely, and changing up the itinerary for all our guests to make the most of the huge money they paid to come. So yes, need those 3 months to level that out. The most challenging situation as a captain is in a life and death situation. We had a crew member found unresponsive. We were nowhere near land at the time, so having got her into the infirmary under the care of the doctor, and then frantically trying to find the nearest land whereby a helicopter could come out and meet us. It was, I would say, the most stressful time of my career so far. It is very different being at the top, and even though you have your head office to support you, on board ship the box stops with you. Women at sea is still a very small percentage of all seafarers. Even though we are on the increase, it's just not happening fast enough with as many people, and it is still a man's world. Therefore, being a woman, you've got to work harder and you've got to prove that you can do it. We do need more women at sea, and over the last couple of years, as more women are integrated within the teams at sea, people are starting to realise that you need women for a balance. With a group of men, the testosterone kicks in. So having women within the team brings the chemical balance into play. So it levels out the whole macho thing, and it brings more harmony within the team, which is what you want. Women will face discrimination, being a man's world still. Women will face harassment and sexual harassment. But you've got to be strong enough to stand up to it. Never ever be afraid to report any kind of harassment, whether it's sexual or not. Never be afraid to report discrimination. And if there is anything within the team on board that makes you feel uncomfortable, go to your manager and report it. If management doesn't know about it, they can't help you. And you've got to report it so that A, we help you, but also we stop it. People of different backgrounds, different colour, different race, different religions, different orientations, makes a difference, and everybody has something to bring to the table. It's hard when you're a minority on board. And I've travelled through that period of being the only black person on board, being the only woman on board. And back then, I was fortunate in most respects that I had great teams. And being part of the team will help everyone move forward. So that is something that I'm a very firm believer in. I come from a very small island in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean. I grew up in the sea. I'm surprised I don't have gills at the back of my neck. The sea does draw you. You either have a passion for it or you don't. Seafaring is a very special vocation in life. You're away from your family for lengthy times. B, it takes a bit of time to get used to not being on land that don't move. So you have to learn to grow sea legs. It's either you can or you can't. It is a very special career. And I think the hardest thing is getting used to being away from your friends and family. You sort of lose that whole family and that whole support structure until you make friends and you build a new one. And if you come to a good ship, you know, I now see my team as family. So I go from home on land to going back to work to my other family. And that's what it is like. I have two families. I have my blood family and I have my work family. So it's challenges like that you have to overcome by being at sea. My family, my mum and dad, my sisters and brother, they know that I don't do kids. I have never changed a nappy in my life, and that's a personal record I like to keep. I've never been around kids. I have my children at work, and the guys and the girls know that. I have to deal with people 6 months of the year at work. So when I come home, I just want peace and quiet. I have no regrets in my career in life. I am absolutely loving it. I am loving seeing the world, meeting new people, seeing different cultures, meeting new people who have become very special to me in life, and knowing that I am leading the way for others behind me. That is just a very overwhelming feeling that it's well overdue that women out there recognize I can do it. Women can do it. Women are doing it, and women will continue to do it. You know, I always looked at Oprah Winfrey. She was a black woman who did amazing for herself. I look at Tina Turner because I love her music, and also all her personal challenges that she overcame in life. And there are a lot of black people out there who have achieved and are not recognized for it. And it's well overdue that they do become recognized for it. And I'm very proud of my colour, and I will never change it for the world. Just as I'm really proud of my sex, and I'll never change that for the world. Because I remember being told years ago that I would never make it in the industry because A, I had a higher ticket than most people, B, I was a woman, and C, I was black. And there was absolutely nothing of those things that were going to change. So being able to path the way for others now is something that I can only be thankful for. Take charge of your life. Make a stand in life where it matters, and open the gates for those following behind you. And I would like to say that I have smashed those gates wide open. Women have been overlooked in the maritime industry for way too long. And it's very important that women are put into the history books because there's too much lacking. It should no longer be a man's world. It's a seafaring world, and it's for everybody.